Lost my mind, now I'm feeling so fine, cause I finally realized I don't need you. I'm feeling sublime, and you're watching me shine, and you realize it's time I don't need you. Now
Hey, this is Brooke,
Hey, this is Imani.
and welcome to another episode of Resources in the Valley.
Where you get your tools to make the most out of every day.
Hey, Imani, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm happy to be recording today. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Very busy week. Right before tax season, we have some tax season episodes coming up where Imani will pick my brain. But just a big tax season jump start. Did my first couple of returns this week, so hitting the ball or hitting the ground running. How about you? How was your week?
It was pretty intense. A lot going on. A whole lot going on. But yeah. But I think that this episode will be really good because I think that's the point. There's always something going on. So how can you make your goals a priority when life is life? And
So last week we discussed New Year, New You. We welcomed you all to 2023. Welcome back. And in our first episode of the year, we always discuss the word of the year. So in discussing the word of the year, I discussed commitment being my word of the year for 2022 and consistency being my word of the year for 2023. Imani, what was your word of the year?
my word of the year was a phrase, so it was "don't shrink," and it's surprisingly difficult to do when you have certain patterns of behavior that you're used to. But that was mine, and I'm glad I did that because I think that's a habit of mine. It's great to put others first, or it's great to consider others, but not to our own detriment. So I'm glad that I chose that phrase for this year.
Well, in discussing our word of the year, we started to think about the excuses that we run into. First, we want to say we hope that you all thought about your word of the year and how you're going to approach your New Year's resolutions this year to make sure that you're successful and that you follow those resolutions all year. The topic of this week's episode is no excuses. And as we started to think about word of the year and discuss word of the year, we started to think about the excuses that we make all the time, to deter ourselves from goals or deter ourselves from doing something that wasn't planned. So in this episode, we're going to discuss the importance of committing and consistency. We discuss how we choose to be consistent to things most important. And then we'll dive into why. And we often find, the different reasons why we find commitment or change or focus to a goal difficult versus the things that we have to do on a daily basis. Like Imani said, we still want to reach our goals while life is still lifing. What do you think, Imani?
Absolutely. I think that one of the reasons why it can be so hard to find that commitment and that consistency is because we view whatever that thing is as disconnected from other things. So for me, I want to be consistent with fitness. I've been trying for years, but I view it as disconnected from the rest of my life and just one of those things that, like you should do it, but if you don't, it's all right. Like you should eat vegetables, but if you don't, yeah, I mean, fries won't hurt. I think there's these little excuses that we make for things that we want to do. And you can find 2 or 3 people to agree with you. And I think as soon as I get 2 people that say, girl, I don't work out either, that's all my brain needs, okay, to check out. But, I just keep thinking about how my fitness journey is connected to my health. My health is connected to how well I parent, and also for, unfortunately, but reality, how long I'll be able to parent. It's connected to how well I do at work. It's connected to how I am as a girlfriend. It's connected to how I am as a daughter. It's connected to how I am in tune with myself. Am I irritable? Am I irritated at myself? Am I finding it hard to cope? Like, all of these things are tied to our diet, our exercise, our mental state. So I think in saying, I'll get around to things that are really important, it's basically creating a future for myself, or a potential future that I don't like the look of. I know that if I continued course and just, had a health decline, unfortunately, that I would be super frustrated, that I couldn't just get it together. Like, you don't have to be vegan tomorrow, but you do have to do healthy things every day. So I think just recognizing that, one, your goals are connected to your quality of life. The more quality you want, the more you have to work at it. And then also that consistency will get you there. I also think it's important to know consistency isn't an extremist perspective. It's small things. It's being intentional and doing those things over and again and over and again. I pick up French fries again and again, so I can pick up something else again and again. I'm already consistent. I'm just consistent with Chick-fil-A. So, so that's something I've been learning. Like, your goals are intertwined with your life. If you want a good life, like, go after your goals. Choose good goals. And then just be consistent to see what you want to see. But what's your take on that, Brooke?
I definitely agree. That's exactly why we chose this topic. Is because we choose the things that we're consistent with. We make sure we eat every day. We make sure we get time to go buy those fast food, or our favorite fast food restaurant, or we make time for, if it's cigarettes. We make time to go to the liquor store. We make time to, instead of saying, I'm going to make time to sit down and plan this business. I'm going to make time to do some research on this business. Or I'm going to make time to go to the gym. Or I'm going to make time to read a book. It seems like that instant gratification, that quick, umph, is what we go after. And, we go after that usually because we do get the instant gratification. But there's a better gratification and a more long-term gratification when you go after the things that you don't get immediate gratification out of. And that's why this week's episode is called No Excuses. We want to really attack, the choices that we make in life, and stop making excuses. We can always make a million excuses as to why we don't do something, but we don't have a million excuses as to why we don't eat, or we don't have a million excuses as to why, I'm going to get my sleep today. So I think we just need to start being a little bit more honest with ourselves, and question ourselves and check ourselves, because sometimes you got to check yourself, or you want people in your circle that are going to check you and say, hey, you know what, let's not go to Chick-fil-A today. Let's go get a salad or whatever. Or let's go to Chick-fil-A, but let's go to Chick-fil-A after we go to the gym. You know what I mean? And sweat it out for an hour or whatever. So, it's just, it's the decisions that we make. It's the decisions that we make. So, talk about a time that you wanted to commit to something, but you found difficulty in Imani. Do you have a time that you wanted to commit to something, but you found it difficult?
I think I'd say gentle parenting. They don't have gentle children at all. And I think that is a real goal of mine. I think people define it differently. Some people define it as, well, I don't tell my children no. I met a family this week. They define it as to teach my child cuss words and allow them to freely do so at home. And I hope they don't do it at school. So, there's different levels of gentleness. But I think it goes back to what I was saying about fitness, which is I parent every day, but being the type of parent that I envision myself to be requires being intentional. And it requires undoing not just only my habits, but also the habits of my parents, my family, my village. I think I had a great childhood, but I think that if there's something new I want to implement, it takes consistency in order to implement that. And it takes being intentional. So I've learned that I have to observe them in order to be, what do they call that, proactive instead of reactive. I have to observe them and anticipate what's coming next so that I'm not reactive. And I find that helps me in every walk of life, but especially with them, knowing that if we go to Target after work, they're going to be hungry. So I used to have a box of chips in the truck. As soon as I get in the car from school, Mom, I'm hungry. No problem, let me pop the truck. What you want, Lay's or Fritos? So I think that's something I incorporated with their snacks. But, I really have been trying to work on anticipating their moods, their feelings, their whatever it is. And I think that it's difficult to commit to because it's easy to just do what you've always done. And I think that's the wrestle that we have to do, I think, in every area is what you've always done. That's comfort. That's a habit. That's instinctive. That's going to be your brain's first go-to. That is how your brain has learned to operate all this time. So changing that is going to take a lot more work. But I think it's something worth exploring. I'm not going to be the parent that says, sure, you can run through the store. Do you? You're your own person. I don't think I'll ever be that type of parent. But something I just think about when they look back on their childhood, what do I want them to remember? What do I want them to have seen me doing? Maybe what things do I want them to incorporate if they ever become parents, hopefully they'll stay with me forever because, I love them. But should they decide to go have their own lives and that sort of thing, the things that I do that are my habits could become their habits and they could be on a podcast trying to unlearn them. So, so that's definitely one thing for me, gentle parenting.
Well, one of the things that I did find difficult for a long time was working out. I don't know why, because I've always liked to work out and be active, but recently in this last, trying to get back started and active, it took a little while. Even as you go through the podcast, our episodes for the last couple of years, when we first started recording in 2021, I said I wanted to work out. Good, strong 10 to 15 minutes. 2022, I said the same thing. Good, strong 20 minutes. 2023, I'm still working on working out. But I do way better. I work out with a trainer. I work twice a week with a trainer for an hour. And it is the best time of my life. We don't realize that things make us better in other areas. So like if you're trying to reach your goals, or you have a goal of buying a house, or you have a goal of making more money, or whatever the case is, little things like working out, which incorporate discipline in your life, spread into other pieces of your life. There was also like other things that I chose to limit in my life. And as soon as I limited those things and, chose discipline and moderation, in the things that you're doing, it made me not only feel better, but it also made me more proactive to my goals that I want to reach and the goals that I want to meet. And it also gave me energy to do the things that I wanted to do. And, less, I'm going to stay in the bed and just lay, kind of thing. Or, I had an eagerness. I have an eagerness to jump up in the morning and just start the day and get things done. And I think that, as we age or as we grow wiser, we learn more and more that the daily things that we do every day not only affect us for that day and tomorrow, but in the long run. So habits matter. And a lot of times we have excuses for bad habits. And we have to get to the point where we don't have excuses for bad habits anymore.
What you said about how this is a goal that you had for a long time now, but you've managed to actually reach it and accomplish it and be able to talk from the other side about how it impacted you. All right, yeah, and I also think, I long to get there. The whole eagerness is, I'm dragging myself to the gym, but, yeah. I find once you start, you kind of kick into gear. What were you going to say?
I mean, when I first started working with my trainer, which was like June last year, I was much better than I am now. I had more, like I was working out like 6-7 days. 6-7 days a week. And if I wasn't working, I would work out with him 2 to 3 days a week, and then I would work out at home. Now, a workout at home is not as good as it was at first. But I will say that I'm committed to my 2 days with him. I'm committed to a good 30-minute workout at home at least 3 days a week, and then other like little workouts during the week just to keep myself moving, stretched out, things like that. So, I still have places to go, as far as my workout goals. But a lot of times, one of the first things that I do is, Brooke, why are you making excuses? My kids hate when I say no excuses. They hate it. They hate it. And I'm going to transition into our phenomenal woman of the week to say why they hate it. But there is an awesome book out there, and it's called No Excuses, and it is a kid's book. It's actually there is a adult version of the book in which her husband wrote the adult version. But today we are going to talk about the kids version. My father bought me the kids version years ago for my kids. And my children do not. When I say no excuses, they're like, oh, here we go. Yeah, because there's no excuses in life. You know, something hurts, this hurts, that hurts. Oh my goodness, I can't find it. Oh my goodness, I can't do it. There are no excuses. So we have to stop taking that route to avoid what we should be doing. You know what I mean? So our phenomenal woman of this week is Kristina Tracy, the co-author of the book No Excuses. And it's a kid's book. I definitely suggest you check it out for your children. My son maybe got it like around 10, 11. And it's a good book. It's about sea turtles and something of that nature. But it discusses, the focus of the book is no excuses. And it's about no excuses for the child to reach their goals. Okay? And the reason why I'm talking about the kids' book, because I haven't read the adult book. However, sometimes we need to take things from a kid's level. Adults, it's good to do things from an adult level. It's great to do things from an adult level. But sometimes we just need that 10 pages. And we need that lesson. And I believe that, if you have children, nieces, nephews, get the book for them. Get the book for them. And, incorporate no excuses into your life. So that way, hey, no excuses. I yell no excuses. My kids already know. Oh, I got to find another route. I got to find another route out. And there is no other route out. There's only one route to win, or there's only one way across the finish line, and it's over the hurdle, So I did want to honor our phenomenal woman of the week, Kristina Tracy. She does have a few other books that she authored. Teaching kids the power of affirmations. I love affirmations for children. Thank you, angels. It's not what you've got. Eres incredible, incredible you. And I think I am. So, check out these children's books. They're excellent, and as you can see from the titles, they're all positive. And, positive mindset is something that we talk about on this podcast a lot. And you have to have a positive mindset in order to reach your goals in life. Imani?
Absolutely. I love our phenomenal women of the week. I definitely need those books for my little ones. And one thing that stuck out to me, too, is her creating a children's book where the idea, no excuses, is being taught to them from a young age. I mean, we all sit here as adults trying to unlearn and plunge through things and drag our decades of habits along with us. So I just love that children learn from a young age. There are things they can do. There are things that they can make adjustments and accommodate their dreams, their goals, no matter how small they are. Imagine if kids felt like there were no excuses, that they can get an A, or they can pass the test, or they can, up their grades before summer school starts, or they can make new friends, or they can, do well in a sport that they love. So I just think that we, like I said, think certain things are disconnected. So it's like, well, maybe I'll focus on doing this as an adult or discussing this with other adults, but maybe this is not a lesson I need to teach to my children. I'll just let them be kids. And yeah, sure, let them play, have a good time. However, the sooner they can learn this, the sooner they can adopt that mentality and take it with them before they really need it for life-altering decisions. That is just the gift that keeps on giving. This is a lesson they'll need for the rest of their lives.
Woman of the Week, Kristina Tracy, again, for that fabulous book, No Excuses. You all go and check it out at your local book store. As we continue our topic, No Excuses, we're going to discuss why do you think that, we find commitment to goals and changes so difficult? I'll start. So, my personal opinion, I just think is there any other word other than fear? Fear. 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 Why don't you want to try the new thing? When I started Show for Kids, and I believe I've spoken about this before, I did everything. Built the website, had a phone number, had everything, like multiple page website, different forms for parents to fill out, applications for drivers, rules and regulations for drivers, rules and regulations for parents, rules and regulations for students. Like, I literally had everything drawn out. One of my girlfriends looked at the folder and she was like, oh my goodness, this is like a set of bylaws for a company, like, hiring documents and everything. And she couldn't believe how thorough it was. But it was me that didn't believe in it, or was timid or was worried about what other people would think. And as I've shared with you before, as soon as I went ahead and I released it and I made it public, I had rides in a couple weeks, consistent rides in a couple weeks. So, we have to stop deterring ourselves from the unknown. It's almost like food that we don't like or food that we've never tasted before. Go ahead and take a little itty bitty piece. Swallow it, hold your nose, whatever you got to do. Give it a taste. See if you like it. You might like it, you might not like it. And just get over it. Because that little hesitation into doing things and getting to the unknown can just be so detrimental. And some of us are on that piece for years.
Absolutely. I think for me, one of the reasons why we feel commitment and change are difficult to I guess commit to is because we feel as though this risk is one we've never taken, it's new, it's scary. One thing that I find helpful is to remember you've taken risks before. You've tried new things before. So the next new thing that you want to do, it might be bigger, it might have a higher risk, it might incorporate risk in a new way. For example, you might have risk what people thought of you before, but now you're putting money up, so much higher risk there. So there's different levels to the way that we buy into our own dreams. But I think it's important to realize, when we were young, walking was risk. It was new. It wasn't a good idea, really, in certain environments because you get hurt. Eating was new. Like, just everything was new. Starting school was new. Trying to make new friends was new. If you ever moved, that was new. Choosing a major, graduating. Relationships, you probably had some new ones. So, just the idea of putting yourself out there, trying your best, and seeing what happens, that is not a new experience in and of itself. And I think it's also important to look at what risks have you already taken that have paid off well. Where have you put yourself in a vulnerable state? Where have you bet money by pouring and investing into a business or into an experience that has paid off for you? So you can see, even though we all have our long list of what we would call failures or disappointments or things that didn't work out, you probably also have just as long, if not longer, list of things that worked out well for you, things that you tried that now have become habit and now have become your lifestyle. You don't even remember what it felt like to do that for the first time because it's just your life now, you know? So that's one thing I like to try to do, is speak to our judgmental version of ourselves, and just, if we're going to judge, let's also judge the good things. Like, let's look at the way that our risks have paid off and use that as encouragement. Another thing I love to do is, if you're running out of things on your list or feel like you need another boost, there are people around you who have taken risks that have paid off. I mean, some people listen to podcasts, videos, interviews, radio interviews, watch videos, but there are also people that you know, and sometimes when you know the person and they can tell you the before and where they're at, you know, and the after, that can also be very invigorating. Like, okay, this person's where I'm from. All right, well, that person's in my financial bracket, more or less. Okay, well, that person's around my age. Okay, well, this person's really close to me, and I see where they are now. I didn't know they were going through that at the time. So I just think you have more resources available to you than you might realize, and tapping into them can make a world of difference.
To try to be conscious of it and to check myself, you know. Sometimes you have to hear what you're saying. So our reaction or what we say, things come out of our mouth immediately, right? Because that's what's on our heart, that's what's on our mind. However, one of the things that I always tell people to do is count to 3. Count to 3 mentally before you respond. Count to 3 mentally before you make a statement. Count to 3 mentally before you answer a question. During that count, it's almost like 1, check yourself. 2, think about your response. 3, is this an emotional response, or is this, you know, like, I'm asking myself questions, you know, as I'm going through that 1, 2, 3. And sometimes I might rephrase my statement because I don't want it to sound a certain way. Or sometimes I might say, why are you making an excuse, Brooke? You know? Or sometimes I might say, you know, I might ask myself, you know, what is that about? But it's a way of me checking myself. And I believe that sometimes the excuses come without us even being conscious of it, you know? Oh, I don't walk across bridges, I'm scared of heights. You know, is the bridge rickety? No. Does the bridge have railings? Yes. Is there any reason for you to be scared of the bridge? No. You know, so like, we have an excuse for certain things, and I believe that if we choose to be conscious of the things that are coming out of our mouths, then maybe we can be more conscious of the things that cross our mind. Because the other side of this is that negative thought that's in your mind that doesn't need to be there, you know? And the other side of this is your pessimistic, you know, actions, or pessimistic ways, or the way that you feel about yourself, you know. So if we can eliminate the excuses, you know, then we can eliminate some of those negative thoughts and that negative energy too. So, as you said before, these things go full circle. They're not just like a one-off, or it doesn't just affect this area of life. No, this area of life affects this area of life, and it all works together. You know what I mean? So, that's why it's important not to have excuses, and it's important to be cognizant of it, and it's important to find ways to avoid it.
I love those movies where the person gets like an outer body experience and they get to see kind of like the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of girlfriend's past. You get to see like alternate reality. The way that ties in is sometimes we wonder like what will happen if I don't incorporate this goal into my life, and it feels like there's really no value in it. But you are living what will happen if you don't go after that goal. So you're living the result of not taking this risk last year or a couple of years back. So, I mean, if you're content with your life, you have everything you want and need, and you just, want to just ride this wave out, then obviously that's an option. But if you feel discontent and as though, you really wish you had some more money in your pocket, well, maybe it's time to do something outside of your 9 to 5 or in addition to it. Or if you feel like, oh, I really don't like who I see in the mirror, I think that it might be time for therapy. It might be time to read books that help you in those areas. It just might be time to make those changes. So just ascribing value to the things that you want to do is really critical. And I mean, knowing that this is your life now, that should be encouraging. Wherever you are right now, hopefully it's in a good place or a place where you can be content and do the things that you need to do. But we want an abundant life. We don't just want a life. We're all going to eventually go on out here, unfortunately. But when you get to the other side, if you were interviewed, what would you want to say about how you lived your life? Would you want to say, oh, I just played it safe. I just kept under the radar. I did nothing extravagant. I was too afraid. I don't know what would happen if I did blah, blah, blah. And, like I said, some people are fully satisfied. And so if you're legitimately fully satisfied, then teach me, okay? But if you're not, in that interview, like, what do you want to be able to say that you did and that you accomplished? And also note that, I don't know if we get to watch a little TV up there of our family's lives down on earth, but it's not only you who will reap the benefits of taking or not taking the risk. You will also watch your family, friends, everyone connected to you live out the aftermath of you either taking those risks or not taking them, and did you give them a leg up, or are they kind of struggling, and were you struggling when you were down here? So again, just having that perspective sometimes can help keep us going when life is life in, or when it's raining out and you don't want to go to the gym because it's cold.
Life is really full of risks, and it's something that you said last week. You said that you deserve to show yourself what would happen if you stay committed, or something like that. And don't we all believe that? Like, don't you believe that? So, we want you all to think about the excuses that you all give in life, even the ones that you don't realize that you're giving. And we want you to take time and write down 3 ways to eliminate those excuses. Write down the excuses and write down 3 ways to eliminate those excuses. This past week, I bought a book from one of my girlfriends. It was her birthday, and she released a book. And it is called Scared AF, but I'm going to do it anyway. A Guided Fear Journal by Sahara L. Simmons. And I just think that it is a great book. I hope you all can see that. But I just think that it's a great book and journal to walk you through getting through fear. Getting over those fears. Why am I fearful? How can I change these things? And sometimes we just need a little plan to push us over the hump.
Oh, I love the notion of, like we talked about, can you anticipate certain things that are coming so you can be better prepared to handle them? You're going to be afraid one day. Maybe you are already afraid of something. But, like, can you anticipate the situation and figure out how you're going to handle it before it comes? So definitely check out that journal. With that, we are wishing all of you beautiful angels a productive week.
And remember, you will get through this valley too. Thank you for joining us.
Guidance given during this program are only reflections of our personal experiences and is not a substitute for professional advice.
Stay
Change
faithful,
is your
not
choice.
hateful. I'm playful, cause he got me. He called me his angel. I'm flying to heaven. Just know that he sent me from heaven to flex you.